Hi everyone, my name is Ijoma and welcome to another episode of the IG Reads. Today we are in Eritrea and we're reading the book The Seers by Sulaiman Addonia. Now, Sulaiman Addonia is not someone that is not known to us, but I particularly liked this particular story of his because um, apart from the fact that he stays true to his Eritrean roots, what we see is, I'm just going to read a little of the synopsis of The Seers. It follows the first weeks of a homeless Eritrean refugee in London. It is set around a foster home in Kilburn and in the squares of Bloomsbury, where its protagonist, Hannah, sleeps. The novel grapples with how agency is given to the sexual lives of refugees, insisting that the erotic and intimate side of life is as much a part of someone's story as land and nations are. Hannah arrives in London with her mother's diary containing a disturbing sexual story taking place in Keren, Eritrea, where the Allies defeated the Italians in the Second World War. In a gripping, continuous paragraph, the seer moves between the present day and the past to explore intergenerational histories and the colonial trauma alongside the psychological and erotic lives of his characters as their identities are shaped but refuse to be suppressed by the bureaucratic processes of the UK asylum system. It's a powerful and taboo breaking love letter to a London bed of stories and a scathing indictment of the UK asylum system ability to break hearts and bodies to pieces again and again. This novel was so good, it was longlisted for the 2025 Republic of Consciousness Prize for Small Presses. Check online to find out if it's one on one. I'm not give you too many spoilers. So I'm just going to take an excerpt from the book and read out for our enjoyment. So it was published in 2024 by Prototype Publishing. So here goes. The forces of my desire talked to me. They blew thoughts like lava, as if in my mind we could only make love when we had become specks of ashes scattered in the wind beyond recognition in form or shape. I paced up and down, lost until I was snapped back from my world by the kettle's whistle. I brought the tea to the dining room table with a plate of biscuits. I sat and observed Bina Paluzzi as he listened to Diana without interruptions. Thoughts fermented in my mind during his long silence, and I held on to many of them long after he had left and had returned to my room. The mere sight of him brought up so many questions. How could I have feelings about him and Anna? Two different people at the same time with the same intensity. My room turned into a laboratory where I experimented with my desires. In the absence of a home office decision, of school, education, or family, sex loomed large in my life and everything else faded into the night. If my passion for men's asses is a condition I suffer from, then it must be called reciprocity, the need to enter and see inside my male lover in the way they could. I yearned for every part of their body to be accessible to the variations of my desires in the way I was to them. But it could only be a mere addiction to an anus that I first discovered when I was with Alem in that open roofed shower, when I washed his body and took the dust off his skin to reveal a gateway between his cheeks that was more than a hole. That the more I pressed with my tongue through his hole, the more it added intricacy to my palate. In those days, while waiting for the Home Office to decide on my application, and while living in a room bordered by a train line on one side and the man in the first floor window on the other, every dark tunnel had the promise of light at its end. Oh, Binabi. I remember that moment in Fitzroy Square after I'd finished topping him, and I said to him, "Fuck me now." The weather oscillated between wet and warm, windy and calm, but my obsession was the weather I was creating inside Binabi. As I glimpsed the lush spring I had brought to his body in that rainy night, I thought that if I could reinvent weather, I could also reinvent love. The lights drifted on the backs of silhouettes of poets strolling on the deserted streets of Fitzroy Square in the way Bibi floated around my heart. I don't remember if I or Binabi had said it, but one of us mattered. There's a certain kind of loneliness to falling in love. Oh, Bibi, I want you to fuck me now. As soon as these words left my lips, he bowed his head. When even the idea of fucking me, which many had taken for granted, made him hesitate, satisfaction invaded me. Gosh, if I go on and on and on, you might get a glimpse into what I'm trying to portray in this passage. But you should get a copy of The Seers if you haven't read the book. I think Sulaiman Addonia outdid himself in this. And I like how he's able to weave the refugee situation of Eritrean refugees into every story. He stays true to his home roots and he stays true to himself. If you haven't picked up a book of The Seers, you should definitely pick up a copy and read today. And the fact that it was even released last year, and a lot of people like you listening to me are sleeping on it. Oh, wrong now. Oh, wrong. Get a copy today. Until I come your way next week with another country, with another book. This is Ijoma, your girl, signing out. Bye.